And we're back. We're back in Dubai, baby, as Bitcoin heads up about 50,000 bucks for just a moment there. The airplane indicator apparently still undefeated, which is actually quite concerning. But anyways, more into the point, I think a lot of the questions, especially in the last 24 hours, as Bitcoin played at about a $2,000 downside move is that it? Is it $50,000 never again? Is it all over? Well, we're going to address that and then obviously revisit some of our models that have been governing this overall move. And other than that, I would like to welcome you back to the Aircraft Crypto channel. I should let you know that as we are getting settled in here to our new apartment, my connectivity is going to be pretty limited. I'm actually using my phone to generate internet as of right now. It looks hilarious actually in front of me. And I'm not dressed properly as well, so there'll be no video. Not that you really need that anyways, but let's get into it as of right now. I need to reference my notes, and we're going to first start off with the daily statistics. So we're looking at the run-up statistics over here, which essentially measure the amount of consecutive days that we typically see on average when things trend green or red. So obviously we are most focused on the green side right here. And to give perspective, when Bitcoin does put in consecutive green days, the average is actually 3 in a row throughout the history of Bitcoin. And if you even add one more to that, at 4, you already get to the 84th percentile right here. For reference, the maximum that we've ever seen in a row ever has been 14 green days. And of the last week, we've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 green days in a row before yesterday's ever so slightly red day. I mean, realistically, this day basically closed unchanged, but it is a red day nonetheless. And so this actually does have some like greater merit than just that. So just like when the bear market kicked off in 2022, we saw a slew of red days in a row, way outside of the average. I think this was like back on over here. It's like 7 or 8 red days in a row, somewhere right around here. That was a good signal of the market overall shifting from bullish to bearish. It was it was no longer a bull market. Well, over here we are getting the opposite but equal effect as Bitcoin does put in, 8 green days in a row. Now, of course, on this channel we have been more or less looking for just general macro upside since essentially the beginning of 2023 or the very, very end of 2022. But this is just further confirmation that as Bitcoin does head up above 50,000 bucks, a pretty big round even number, one of those psychological numbers it's getting stronger. It's getting stronger. The overall momentum is increasing rather than waning. So long term, I still do expect Bitcoin continues up and to the right. But in the short term, the real question is, is Bitcoin in for a correction here after 8 days straight up, 8 days straight up in a pretty impressive move nonetheless. I mean, this was nearly a 20% move, right? So this was an outlier and rather extreme. So I do want to address now the question of, is Bitcoin getting ready for a correction? Well, the only way that I really actually govern that or judge that right now is by looking at our daily RSI and saying that, hey, look, at some point we will have bearish divergence in the daily RSI between this high right here on basically a couple days ago on the 12th and all these highs that we saw in basically October, November, even December over here. But that is not actionable in any way, shape, or form, at least in the way that I look at things, especially as long as Bitcoin is trading above yesterday's low. That is to say that you cannot compare a local high to local high until you have a local fucking high. And in this case, yesterday's low is a very obvious inflection point that if Bitcoin does come under and especially close the daily under, okay, now you have a comparable high and now you have a likely greater pullback in motion with, areas of interest probably down to 46,000-ish, let's say, and maybe even lower than that. But until that happens, upside is obviously the more likely thing to be happening, and there's no divergence even to be possible as long as that is happening. So if we go ahead and reference, not this chart, but this chart over here, we can see, and again, I actually posted this on Twitter. I've actually been a lot more active there as of recent, but in this case, we can see that the 61.8 range low and the 78.6 range high have been acting as kind of a buffer zones for current price action for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe working on 5 days right here. So perhaps an earlier indication of Bitcoin putting in a local top would be a daily closure below the 61.8 level, which is $49,000 on the index. If you see that, then yes, Bitcoin's very likely at least going to come down to 47.5-ish region. And personally speaking, I do think that things would come more or less wherever the median is at that time, which as of right now is 45 or below $45,000. Obviously, that's going to move up with each and every passing day, so it completely depends upon when that would happen. But again, as long as Bitcoin's even above $49,000, there's just it's continuation and a consolidation at a very high level. And yes, it is extreme, but we do kind of expect extreme things during extreme moves, I suppose. So fair enough. Anyways, moving on from there, I do want to get into this model over here, the volatility versus stochastic momentum model, that was essentially validating upside as of last week's move above $46,000. That was the big pivot on this channel that's saying, hey, as long as Bitcoin's below $46,000, there are potential for much more severe corrections into the deeper 30s. But as Bitcoin did reclaim $46,000, well, in this case, we can apply this model to the upside, as we spoke about last week. So whenever we've seen this signature with extreme lows on volatility represented by the BBWP indicator over here, expanding from extreme lows, we've seen an average move of about 40% over the next little over a month. And the direction of the stochastic oscillator has been a very high correlation to the direction of where that volatility expansion comes in around. And right now, the 5-day oscillator is still positioned to the upside, and it is closing today. And assuming that it closed above 44,450, which I think is, I personally think is rather likely, we're going to see this one, very likely continue on overall. This is a 5-day chart, so it doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to continue today, but in the next, 5 to 10 day spread, yeah, most likely we do see continuation of this rally, which again, is pretty nice. As far as areas of interest to the upside, again, the average move from this is about 40%, so taking that from the low, that would be about $55,000. Oops, there's my damn phone. And there is a standard deviation on that average of about 7. So, maybe on the lower end, about 35%, which would, for reference, put Bitcoin at $52,000. On the upper end, if things get really, really crazy, then that would put Bitcoin, I guess, basically around $57,000, $58,000. Again, this setup essentially fired off, or at least the low that we measure from in terms of timing, fired off a few weeks ago. So we're already almost 20 days into this one. So if we're going out 35 days, which is the average, that would still kind of plot us in for the end of February here. So somewhere around there is where we would be looking for the final destination to likely occur. And I suspect that's probably also in alignment with one of our major numbers on the HPDR indicators over here, which, yes, indeed, we see the 88 spot 4 range high coming in at 55, basically. So, and the 78.6 coming in just below 52. So both of those numbers were of interest from that model. I also want to address this as well. The 5-day time frame right here is very interesting to me, just because Bitcoin is going to have a chance to have continuous closures above the median on the HPDR bands. Again, anywhere in the top end of this blue zone is fair game after that. I don't necessarily say it has to get exactly to the top side, but very, very likely at least like $54,000 at that point. And yeah, potentially even all the way up to basically 60 or just below 60. For reference, the median is at 49,150. So it's got, some more, currently it is above with 16 hours left to go in the day. But also of interest here is that the 5-day HPDRO representing directional volatility is about to turn up. And anytime that we have seen that kind of cross a zero read, well, that is when, typically major rallies or major dumps occur, like this one right here, when it crosses zero read, preceding the pump from October to, kind of where we're at right now, actually. There's several more instances, but again, I don't even have like a proper mouse right now, so it's actually really fucking difficult to get around on this computer. But this is all coming within the context of extreme lows on volatility. So, crazy things can get more crazy here. If things are to get more crazy, we do expect Bitcoin to close above 49,150 today, or anything here or higher would look very, very good for continuation into the end of the month. Anyways, I think that's going to do it for today's video. A little bit on the shorter side. Like I said, throughout the next few days, things are going to be a little bit shaky on my end. I'll do my best, but just understand, it's going to be limited connectivity, unfortunately. So I'll end things right there. As always, I want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.
First off, if you haven't made money,
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I bet that caught your attention. Yes, Bitcoin. I'm going to do a new dance in a minute, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure if you've just passed in or come through to this channel, we've got a couple of dances that we like to normally do. Now, we never like to do these dances. It's just something that I've just decided to start doing, you know, just to keep everybody engaged. Like, all right, let's just forget that. Bitcoin, what is going on? Bitcoin making a nice move to the upside. And before I continue, to all the ladies in the channel, happy Valentine's Day to you all. And to all the gentlemen, bro, what do you think I'm going to stand here and wish you happy Get out of here, man. You'll get a what's good. How you doing, bruv? Nah, it's all good, man. That's it. Happy Valentine. Come on, bruv. Jokes aside, ladies and gentlemen, the fear and greed index is at its highest point since 2021. Bitcoin hits $1 trillion market cap. Just Bitcoin. What does it all mean? Well, money's going into crypto. Or is it? No, it really is, ladies and gentlemen. There's lots of money going into crypto, and this would be, of course, on the back of the ETF in principle. Okay? Now, Vanguard's probably kicking itself in its... because it's told its investors that they're not going to be getting into bed with this Bitcoin ETF and they will not be endorsing it. Now, I told you this a little while ago. Now, since then, we've seen some significant inflows into the Bitcoin ETF, and some of those investors at Vanguard are probably thinking, I'm sat here making a measly 5, 6, 7% on my portfolio, with Vanguard just picking up the more... conservative approach to investing, and I got my guys all over at BlackRock sipping the champagne, okay, loving life. That's if they do decide to take profits, which is something that we probably want to be doing right about now. So in today's live stream, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be talking to you about that. We're going to be diving into a little bit of price action. The market hasn't opened just yet, but we have taken a little bit of a tumble across the board. We do have the good old unemployment claims data tomorrow, which could mean that things might be setting up for that. So that's going to be something that we'll dive into with a little bit of Forex. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, let's get the flavor. Glasses are clean. I'm not cleaning them. I'm going to sneeze. Forgive me. But yeah, welcome to Traders Reality, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tino, and if you can count how many times I've said ladies and gentlemen, you must be listening. Let's get with the flavor, gang. Here we go. So here is the chart, not the chart, the dance. The pump it up dance. Look at this guy. That is just phenomenal. And the expressions on their face. And he is zero expression, which pretty much determines or establishes all of what people are feeling like right now in cryptocurrency. They're looking at their portfolio saying, Then they'll go into the bathroom and then they'll be doing this pumping dance to themselves. Exactly what they'll be doing. That little demonstration right there, ladies and gents, is, of course, how retail is feeling right now. Now, quickly going over into it all. The Crypto Fear Greed Index has hit the highest point since 2021. Why is this important? Well, is it important? Well, it gives us a bit of a snapshot because it does aggregate data on market momentum, volatility, and volume, and social media has been put into the mix. Now, was social media something that they considered back in the day when volatility gauges or indexes to determine investors' sentiment? Was social media put into play? Was the idea of going out buying the Financial Times or the Wall Street Journal, okay? And then was the volume of those sales going to be determined by people's sentiment of fear and greed? No, they just based it off momentum and volatility and volume. Now social media has come into it. It kind of amplifies the reading, if I'm quite frank with you. I mean, even if we go over to this bad boy over here, we've got this provided by Cointelegraph, which tells us what altcoins are effectively pumping based on their mention in certain tweets. We have the volume gainers in the last 24 hours. We've got FST, you've got BTS, Orion, ORN, Key, Prom. I mean, some of these coins, don't really know them. I know Ramp, I know CKB, I know ORN. And you can see that social media is the leading place for you to get your coins pumped. Pump it up. But when it comes to Bitcoin, it's a different story, okay? Now, with that being said, the $1 trillion market cap has come back for Bitcoin. Now, there's two things that are good about this. It now grabs investors' sentiment, or should I say interest, okay? When someone gets involved into a market, for example, say you want to start your own Shopify store and you want to sell something, what's your market, okay? Say you get involved in selling OnlyFans. It's the best analogy for it. What's your market cap? Who's doing the most? Can you tap into it? Let's hypothetically assume that OnlyFans has a market cap of anything up to $1 billion plus. So let's just round it off for figures at $1 billion. You now know that if you start an OnlyFans, you're going to be tapping into that $1 billion market cap. That means you could get 0.001%. I mean, if I start my own OnlyFans, I know I'm tapping that easily 10%. Ha! Jokes aside, ladies and gentlemen, that's just for the ladies. I'm going to just retract everything that I have just said. Please dismiss it all. I'm trying to maintain a level of professionalism here, talking about OnlyFans and me setting one up, although there is apparently a demand for it. So, hey, you don't know. Bitcoin drops, completely wipes everything. The markets collapse. At least we can show out. What I'm trying to say is now Bitcoin is sort of grabbing people's attention, investors' attention. What's the price of a coin of Bitcoin? Well, it's around $52,000. Okay, what's the market cap like? Well, cryptocurrency is roughly around 2 trillion, and Bitcoin alone is now $1 trillion. 1 trillion. Do you like that little touch? I hope you do. There is effort put into these thumbnails. I'll try my best. Anyways, that's what an investor's going to be looking into. How much of the share can he really obtain? As long as there's the market cap, it means money is moving. It's going in and out. Now, this is good news for Bitcoin. But what's even better is we kind of see that there is still a sentiment from the miners to sell. Look at this. The miners have been aggressively selling, and it seems like over the period of since the 11th of February, 10th of February, we've seen this move up. So for the best part of the last 4 days, miners are actively selling Bitcoin. Again, just to address it for anybody new, miners selling Bitcoin right now is just so that when it comes to the halving, they're going to be getting only half the reward. And they've got all this machinery that they need to maintain and keep the process of mining operating. So that's where we call it, in terms of accounting, maintaining the operating costs, taking a little bit of flavor, using that flavor to service any new mining rigs and what have you, using all of that so that when the halving comes, it's business as usual. But remember, when the halving comes in, it means it's harder for the miners to solve the next equation. It gets harder to mine, so they need the faster equipment, the better equipment to do so. But then you get half the reward. It's taboo, but anyway. This is what this chart is effectively saying to us. Open interest is going out the bloody roof. Market maker has got enough traders trapped in what would appear to be, if Bitcoin were to simply collapse from this point, it wouldn't be so bad, and it's not something that we haven't seen before. Okay? But let me just bring to you your attention to something. In the past, and if you've gone on the live streams from before, you'll see that we've used this chart before to identify the liquidations. I'm not really seeing that many coming in. Could the concept of fear and greed be mistaken for fear? Let's be honest now. Put this into perspective. Everyone's pumped right now. We get all of that. Even if we go over to the glass node, okay? Let's just go over to the glass node for Bitcoin, okay? Look at where we are. If I just refresh this bad boy right here, and if you are new, bear with me a second. Right now, we are at this peak here, which tells us that there is belief by investors across the board. Now, let me just draw your attention to something, okay? If you can see it, I don't know if you can. Here we go, makes life easier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. So let's say in the last 7 peaks of Bitcoin, okay, when it's hit a peak, an an all-time high, right? The sentiment is that most investors were feeling euphoric, okay? Oh, and they're very greedy. They're like, yeah, man, we got the gains, man. When Bitcoin hit 67,000, 69,000, we didn't get that. You can see right here. We don't get the blue reading. As you can see, the top right there, euphoric, okay? We didn't get it. So how can you not be euphoric at a state of when Bitcoin's at 69,000? How is it that the masses are not being optimistic about it? Surely, when Bitcoin hit $693, people were pumped about it. As we go over and over here, we can see that we're not really seeing the emotions by the holders. That tells us that the people who are holding Bitcoin have only got one thing in mind: profit. In my opinion, unless we see another peak, which suggests that people are feeling optimistic, or should I say euphoric, and there's enough people holding Bitcoin, retailers holding Bitcoin, because remember, there's around 47 million addresses of Bitcoin. Go back into this bad boy here. Where is it? Where is my home? There we go. Okay, I haven't got it up, but there are 47 million addresses, okay, that hold Bitcoin. Now, we can only assume that there are many, many addresses that hold few Bitcoin, small amounts of Bitcoin. So going back into this right here, it means that we are under the impression that these whales are buying Bitcoin, they're selling Bitcoin, miners are buying and they're selling, okay? So we're not really seeing the emotions coming into play with these players, okay? Bitcoin hasn't hit a point where we can naturally assume that those who are in profit are feeling euphoric, hypothetically, in terms of net unrealized profit and losses. And there are a lot of people sat in profit right now. And the biggest question is, how far will it go? You've got, of course, Twitter going back crazy about it all right? You can see right there where we would expect them to be. We would expect people to be euphoric and excited about Bitcoin. This is the case. But I am not saying this now to alarm you in any way, shape, or form. But looking at the chart, it would be nice to take some profits. Let me present to you an example. Yesterday, I shared a projection on Bitcoin to the Platinum members to get them to understand how to utilize the concepts of the hybrid system. I anticipated that Bitcoin was going to pull back down towards this high area of confluence. What is it? Well, this blue line going straight across the chart is the midpoint of the green vector candle on the daily time frame, 49,101. I said that we would see prices come back down towards this zone, and then we would effectively see a recovery back up to hit the 51,200 zone, okay? This is around about the time when we were going live, suggesting that maybe you could be wanting to take some profits. Some holders might be looking into this idea where they could actually wait for Bitcoin to get a little bit cheaper. Go back into the chart and you'll see that Bitcoin did come back down. It came into our high confluence area. The psychological high managed to hold itself, proving that this was a point of interest by Mr. Market Maker. If you are new to the channel and you haven't done so, and it's not making sense to you, go and take this course by Traders Reality. It's free, breaking down the hybrid system. I explain the psychological levels and you'll know everything you need to know about them. And you will learn how to activate and put all of these indicators onto your chart without the hybrid system. You've got to know your tools, okay? Now, going back into the logic of what we were talking about, if the holder had seen Bitcoin drop back down, he was able to exploit it and buy Bitcoin. He would have then picked up a nice little return to the upside. Remember what we said last night? If you bought Bitcoin inside of this area and it moves up 2-3%, happy days, you made yourself 2%. So let's just go back to last night's live and go all the way to the top side here. You would have netted yourself 6% on your portfolio. Don't tell me Bitcoin can't come down, because it can. We saw that yesterday. But if the trend is going to show proof, this is what you want to be seeing, okay? The same thing played out for Solana and Ethereum. I was explaining to them as well about the relationship between the bid and the asks. Look at the bids. They were ready to buy. And this is how I kind of understand that lots of profit taking is happening. Why? because the moment these bids had been absorbed, they instantly sold them on the way back up. There's interest, okay? Go back into Ethereum. We projected out that Ethereum was going to hold out these green vector candle block areas, and we would anticipate Ethereum to come and take the 2,737 zone. Took a day, but it did actually achieve it in the end. We go back into Ethereum, and we can have a look at that bad boy. There she goes. So she's gone and cleared that range. Nice movement up to the upside. Happy days. So Ethereum did the same thing. They dropped price back down to high confluence area. Shift out to the upside. That was awesome. Quickly go back into it again. We go into Solana. Same thing. Although Solana did drop into the short zone, it dropped from the 110. I said run shorts in this area, okay? And it dropped from 110 down to around 108. If you didn't take the short, or you did take the short, you would have made some cheese on that. And then we would anticipate that they would come back up to try and hit this area up here, which is in line with my weekly projection. So we go into my weekly projection, and Bitcoin has hit target 1 and target 2 for the week. And I shared this on Sunday night. And I expected Bitcoin to pull back to this area in the support long zone region right here to effectively mark itself all the way up to 51. With that being said, we had the same thing for Ethereum, and she's hit a weekly target 1. And I'm going to give you this one. I expect Ethereum to at least attack the 3,000 at some point. We had Solana on the weekly. We saw that we see her come back down to come and take out the target of 114. And Solana had completely annihilated all of those targets. Okay? So we've seen a little bit of success on the projections, and now we are where we are right here in the charts, wondering what's going to happen next, okay? Just remember, if you want to take advantage of these sort of setups, get over to the Traders Reality website and you'll learn more about how to become a member. Pinned to the top of the chat and in the description of the video. With that being said, we are now surpassing the range daily high on both Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay, now this is where the test comes into play, and this is where the market will correct, in my opinion. Okay, the idea of getting people to sell, or people thinking they should take a profit, is probably not something that's going to happen right now. People are not going to be letting it go. Okay, here we go. Just as someone's just put in the comment section. Hit the likes. I like that, as Metallica would say. I do like that, bro. Nice. I like that. Stephen, how you doing, man? Thanks for everything, Tina. Thanks for everything you do. No problem, my friend. You help me save money and make money. Happy days with that. What platform would you recommend for futures? Depends which futures you want to trade, okay? I use Jigsaw over here. I use this bad boy, and it just suits my way of trading because it's scalping. That's what I do, and I like to take ticks, small ticks, quick ticks, put a little bit of size on it, but it is what it is. That's what scalpers do, okay? Tino, I made 4K profit. If I buy one egg for 35 cents, how many eggs can I buy with it? Irrelevant. I want you to buy the eggs for me, because if you are considering buying eggs with that 4K, hit me up, bro, so I don't have to worry about buying them, okay? Anyways, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, back into the charts on the flavor for today. What did we say to you last night? If you watch last night's live stream, you'll have an understanding about what the stopping volume candle is, okay? Now, just after the live stream, I'd shared this projection, okay, on the stopping volume candle principle for the platinum members, and I just effectively built this move to the upside. And this is where the block trades came in. And this blue area here was the violet vector candle region. Now, I had said that if Solana or Bitcoin, or in this instance it was Bitcoin, if Bitcoin was going to attack any of this area and there is a red vector candle that breaks this zone right here, just above the 49,000, then we're not looking at longs just yet. However, if they can sustain this green vector candle block right here, then we are looking for Bitcoin to go up towards the 50,243. We had the same story with Ethereum as well, so just roll over to Ethereum. No, this was Solana. We anticipated Solana to come down towards this point, which it did. Bounced away from the block, which is an old block. And then they shifted out to hit the 113 projection for the Asian session. And then we go over into Ethereum as well. And we had the same blocks right here. And we expected the 2,667. I wanted to see the Asian session high getting swept and go back into the red vector candles. Happy days. Are you starting to see how we structure our plays? We're using blocks, but we're using vector candles, but we have an understanding of the psychology of what the story is with trading. You can see the blocks right here in terms of the Bitcoin offers. What I was suggesting in this area right here was the Bitcoin offers. Just to add context for tonight's plays, look at how the bids are holding price as it rises. This leads me to believe that we may see further movement higher. As I explained in the video, there are offers top side of the range, so use these points as target profit. So we're now justifying. So if we go back into last night's live stream where we were talking about justifying support and resistance and what is really truly going on in there, you go and have a look at this, and this image right here is an example of it. You see these green areas right here? This is where people are buying. Okay, and then it starts to slow off. They get a little bit concentrated down below here, and then the offers start to come in. So that principally means that these guys who have been building longs are now going to want to realize a return on it. Okay, so then they start marking prices up. They then start putting their offers at higher price points because the momentum is there. Look, the bids kept on coming in and holding price. Was only making us believe it was going to go higher, which is where we had the conviction that price was going to mark up last night from this range. Okay, that's how I effectively project price. Now, the stopping volume candle that appears at the top side will be suggestive of a potential reversal coming into play, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen straight away. What this means is market maker's not done just yet. So he is going to be marking prices a little bit higher. Remember the vector candles that I got you holders to draw out? Well, we're pretty much on our way to hitting them. Let's go and have a look at where we are. Here we go. So we've recovered this vector candle at the 50,707 zone. We've now got another vector candle region that we need to be taking into consideration. In my frank opinion to you all right now, this is not financial advice. This is common sense by the principle of the hybrid system. We still have this vector candle all the way up here. And I would like the holders to do this. Please mark off these points in the chart, okay? Now, these are the final vector candles that remain on the daily time frame for Bitcoin. We go into the weekly time frame, and you can see bright as day that we have the one vector candle region that is left to be finalized on the hybrid system, and that finalizes at around the 57 point right here. So, would I be of the understanding that this is where we would see some very interesting resistances, okay? Or in other words, no one's really going to be selling. Is it possible to assume that even though the options markets are suggesting that traders are calling for the 60 to 70,000 mark, just because they're backing it doesn't mean that the market must go there? What we're looking for right now is how likely is price going to continue higher just because there's options opening right now calling for higher interest on Bitcoin, okay? It does not mean that it must take it. That's the whole point of the options game. You have a belief that it will go towards that point. Whether it goes to it, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to trading. Shoulda, woulda, coulda kind of thing, okay? But for the holders, this is exactly what you want to be monitoring because we've recovered every vector so far so good, but we are coming into some stiff resistances because this is logically where they started to load up Bitcoin from back in the day. So have that in the back of your minds. I ain't seeing vectors inside of this zone just yet. And that's a problem for me. I need to see it. Why are we seeing vectors down here? But in this move to the upside, we're seeing a stopping volume candle, a vector down here, which has resulted in a move on Bitcoin like so. I want to see vectors. If we do not get the close of this week with a vector candle, it would then suggest to me that the stopping volume candle right here is one of the clues that things are going to change. That's not me being bearish. God forbid we are negative. No. It's being logical and realistic. Go about your day and say, yeah, man, Bitcoin up, Bitcoin down, whatever, okay? Get excited about it. There's nothing wrong. I'm not pissing on anyone's fire. Please, I'm bringing the realism to the idea of investing. Do something about it. Make some money off it. Yesterday was a perfect example how anyone as a holder could have capitalized on the retrace, because you'd be in a 6% return right now on the principle of you loading up in this area here using the hybrid system. Okay? Capiche? Are we good with that? Have we addressed everything we need to address? Sultan, how you doing? I have great TA. Thank you very much. Oh, you know what? I don't even want to even call it TA. I think it's more, let's call this the synchronicities of human nature. Because it is. We want to know who's buying. We want to know who's selling. Look at this. Where are my offers? I mean, NASDAQ and S&P are doing some nasty business. NASDAQ's probably going to pump up very, very shortly, ladies and gentlemen, because we got a huge imbalance between the 17,840 and the 17,870. So anyone that's looking at NASDAQ right now, just pay attention, please, because she looks like she's about to slap some flavor in the charts. And I'm only going by EXO right here. Got some very interesting behavior right here. And this is the area that I'm projecting it to try and take, because there is a huge imbalance in this area. The market doesn't like an off book or an empty shop. There was lots of bidding inside of here. They're going to want to sell into that, aren't they? Let's witness it. Come on, NASDAQ. Deliver us. Deliver us. Pump it. Come on. Come on, man. Here we go. Keep going. You're not done. You're not finished yet. Off you go. Thank you. Thank you. Move. I'm taking too long, aren't I? Anyways, we'll deal with that in a second. Not many offers. Not many people are selling right now. I'm a bit concerned about it. Okay? That means that we could see Bitcoin try and sweep up the 52 zone. We've got an order up here of 1.78. Hold on. Wait a second. 1.43. Wait a second. 23 million at 58. That would mean, ladies and gentlemen, that Bitcoin has effectively got to climb. Whee. It has to move nearly 11% from now to achieve that 58. Now, let's be honest. If Bitcoin moves from here 11%, okay, I will open an OnlyFans. I will get it set up just for shits and giggles. I will do it if Bitcoin is to jump 10% from this point and hit 58. I stand. I will do it. That means from now going till the end of the day, okay? If it jumps 10%, I'm doing it without failure, okay? And that should solve everyone's issues about asking me every 5 minutes when OnlyFans link. I just want to get rid of that comment, so I might as well just set it up. Anyways, that's where we are in terms of the liquidity, okay? We've got a little bit more selling happening, which is consistent with them starting to mark prices up, okay? So just be mindful. Some of you might be coming to the charts thinking, oh my God, Bitcoin, I've missed out on the move to the upside. I'm feeling a little bit concerned. Just be very mindful. The same way Bitcoin contracts from this point down here, look at the behavior. This is consistent with buying. If you do not see the bids coming into play, because look, down here, what we got? 14 million that they've already transacted on a little bit, only 11% of it has been taken. We go down a few areas and we see 3 million. What do? We go here and we see 18 million at 45. It would only logically make sense that if buyers are gonna come in, they have to come in when prices are dropping. The logic goes here. So, holders, if we do see Bitcoin retrace from this point, then we are likely going to see the same behavior here happening here. The only way we can verify that it's not going to do that and you are already in longs and you're holding out very well, monitor the 5 and 13 EMA. As long as they, and look, came here, shift out. First red vector candle that breaks the 5 and 13 EMA, wait for the candle afterwards, confirmation, yippee-ki-yay to the downside. Where are we? We're exactly in the same spot, which it could potentially develop into. Which means what? If the 5, which is this yellow line right here, and the 13 are still maintaining their move to the upside, awesome. Hold on to your longs, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on to your horses, whatever they say. Pump it up, whatever it is. You understand? Now, oh, see, it's coming out. Okay. That's for the guys who are holding on to longs. Be very mindful if you're trying to run the shorts right now, because if you just go over to the liquidations of Bitcoin, okay, let me just pull them up. Oh, by the way, we're up 21% for the quarter. Whee! That's good news. But look at where we are in terms of liquidations, okay? There is too much of a belief that Bitcoin can't go up, can go up higher. Look at the short liquidations, very far and few. 52,000 would be the next logical spot, 52,194. Happy days, okay? NASDAQ, you ass. But the idea is that 52,221 would be the peak of the short liquidations. That is where I believe this is where price will climatize out, okay? So when we look at Bitcoin right here, 52,500 could be the sweet spot that Bitcoin could effectively get ready to start reversing from. But it could reverse from any point right now, so just be very, very careful. Use the 5 and 13 EMA to understand if Bitcoin's going to break down. The second you see price breaking the 5 EMA, on the 1 hour time frame, you're going to want to start paying attention to how price behaves, because the candlestick afterwards will effectively determine whether price is going to continue higher or not. So please, those of you that are in trades right now using leverage, please consider this. I know it might be very, very enticing for you to hold on to the trade because everyone now is on the boat or the gravy train of Bitcoin going up. This is true. But if you don't approach the way of the management of risk methodically, systematically, and objectively, you're going to give that money back. There's no point in trading it. No point if you're just going to plant money into the sellers, the person that is using you as sell liquidity. Okay? So just be very mindful of that. Gentleman just goes and asks a question. Tino, I've built a huge neo gas position using the hybrid, waiting for Burj Khalifa recovery. Can you look at this bad girl? Thank you very much, bro. Okay then, let's have a look at good old gas. Gas. What do you want actually? Do you want the gas futures? Which one do you want? Let's go with this. Okay, so you're waiting for them to build this bad boy up. Okay, all right, so gas is taking a smack to the downside. It's going to the higher time frames. It takes a little while for it to come in. Logic would say that we are expecting them. I mean, we've been projecting gas for a little while now, so she played out nicely. Yeah, they're accumulating gas contracts. That is clear as day. And we are effectively heading towards, oh my days. Actually, we are heading towards, are we heading towards parity? Wait a second. Oh man, very close. It's the last vector candle. $1.60 could be the last spot. Maybe. Okay. All right then, cool. With that being said, let's just go back into Bitcoin for a second and let's understand what we can expect. Let's have a look at where we are in terms of metrics of the order flow. Let's have a look. Okay. 52,100. All right. Okay. We've had this before. Okay. If you remember not so long ago. Oh my days. If you remember not so long ago, and I'm going to call it now. Not so long ago, we had witnessed the bookmap presenting to us loads and loads of offers in the chart. The logic was suggesting that we would be expecting price to gun for that area, okay? But it didn't, because we didn't have any bids. Could the logic suggest that Bitcoin is going to collapse from this point and come down to the VWAP at 51? Would it be of that assumption? I know you guys know what I'm talking about because we've looked at this before and we've seen this before, and it smacked me in the face right now because it brings me back to the history of it. Last time we saw only offers visible in the chart and there were no bids, because I remember saying to myself in the live stream, I said it out loud, we got loads of offers all the way up here, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like they're bound to go and sweep that liquidity up there. Loads of people are looking to sell. And we don't have any commitment down below for the bid, so that only means what? That they're going to look to hit price, and price is going to be going up to the upside. What did it do that day? It not only took a shoe bag to the downside, ladies and gentlemen, it completely wiped its gains from the previous 2-3 day move up. Could we be in exactly the same situation? So let's just reverse the psychology. Remember, synchronization of human nature. Looking at the way this is happening, if price is marking up, yet no one is managing to get their orders filled, what does that tell you? It tells you that the offers might not get hit. It tells you that there's not really any bidders holding price to lift it. That's a suggestion. Okay? Now we then methodically, systematically, objectively approach this and say, if that's the case, are we skewed in terms of probabilities to favor a lower bid at minimum VWAP? See how we've gone along with that? Can we justify it? Wait there, hold on. What has Bitcoin done? Oh, we've got a nice bet to move to the upside, and we would logically assume that they're gonna come down. We're at the highest point of the range. That doesn't mean run shorts. It means take that understanding of how it moves, how human nature behaves. We are pumped right now. Everyone feels like they're missing out. Go and buy Bitcoin. Yeah, at the highest point, buy it, because 50,000, 52,000 is still cheap. Okay? Gets to 100K. 100K is still cheap. This thing is never cheap. Yeah. But then again, that is all about value. Whatever you conceive to be valuable is maybe not valuable to someone else. Okay? Bitcoin might be of value when it hits 100K. Capiche? Does that make sense? Oh, don't tell me you're talking about gas. Oh, gas. Forgive me, bro. You funny dude. Tino, you funny guy. Okay, you've been building a huge position. Okay, cool. Right, there it is, right there. Okay, natural gas, Tino, you wet fish. Oh, God. Okay, Nasdaq's come back down to the VWAP, so it's tapped that liquidity, come back down. It's going to gun for it again, I think. Okay, right, so gas. Wait for gas to break either of the psychological ranges. Do not trade it. But if you're building a position, that's fine. Wait for it to break, okay? Allow it to break above the psychological high. If it can break above the psychological high, okay, anticipate a break, retrace back into it. I'd be taking partials on the break of that. If it breaks down a little bit lower, which I don't think it's likely to do, okay, you could be in for another opportunity to build. So just make sure that you're taking some profits, okay? Just take that into consideration. Okay, Drew is shorting the top. DYM, 2 seconds, okay? Oh, I remember this bad boy. Oh, wow. Okay, then. So this doesn't look like it wants to stop. It's now. Okay, so the guy who wants gas, that's what you're looking for, my friend. You're looking for that exact thing right there. You're looking for the break. A gentleman right now wants me to look at it, and he's shorting it. So the logic is you'd be shorting that principle or closing profits at this point to effectively see a reversal back down, okay, back into the same zone, because if the zone is going to hold as interest, the bids will come into play in this area, okay? Just be mindful, Mr. Short, on Drew, on this bad boy here. It is a volatile asset. It is new. People think it's probably cheap, so they may even sweep up a little bit more. Just be careful. We don't have any history on it, so it's on price discovery. So just be mindful of it, okay? Let's just quickly go over to Bitcoin again. What are we witnessing? Okay, someone said that we're seeing the bids. Well, I'll give you a bit of a heads up on the bids right now before we start getting this party started. Okay. So this is Ethereum. This is what I use to effectively scalp Ethereum on the tick chart, 610 ticks. I'm looking for bids and offers coming into play. I can see inside of these, this is an example right here where I can see bids. Look at that green, bids, 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 bids. Offer me out. Thank you very much. Bids, bids, bids. Offer me out. Bids, not so many here. Bids, it's a little bit stalling. So we're probably going to see price coming back down towards the imbalances, okay? So this is how I navigate the realm of scalping Ethereum, okay? There we go. So it's starting to work its way lower. Some bids are coming in, but if they are overwhelmed and there's not enough interest, the market will then decide to go back to the same point that they can grab bids from. The way you determine that is always mark the charts across. Look at it horizontally, okay? By just looking at this one candle, it's not going to be enough. Look back and say, well, is there a history of bids inside of this zone? Logic says I expect price to come into this area to hold. If it doesn't, yippee-ki-yay to the downside. We've been going up non-stop anyway. Going to Bitcoin, what we got? So looking at Bitcoin on the 5-day profile, what I can see, if I just move my head, don't even do that. So what I can see Bitcoin doing is it's currently now trading at the value area high, which is consistent with reversals. Please take that into consideration, okay? But we do have some offers here. We've got 248, 322, 251, and 286. And it's trading, and the bids are holding. They're trying their hardest to hold this area. No, they're actually pulling. They are actually pulling the bids from the book. So that could suggest that lower prices could be on the cards. And this is where the next value of interest is. And the point of control is all the way down at 29,000. But if it does transact at this 49,893, then it only needs another 3,000 contracts to effectively change the point of control, which would then suggest that value has moved higher, okay? So we're going to assume that that is going to be a point of support by principle, okay? Quickly going into the profile over here of Bitcoin on Exo chart. So I'll just go over to this bad boy here. This is the 6,765 tick chart for Bitcoin. And what I look for is exactly the same thing with Ethereum. Now, look, Bitcoin, look at this VWAP. They have not even considered the VWAP. Oh, my days, okay? And this is something that I look for all the time. How long has price been spent away from the VWAP? Look at these imbalances, these beautiful areas of interest in the chart. They are significant. They are amazing, okay? What we're looking for, guys, again, look right horizontally. Where can I assume support to come into play? Well, we zoom in a little bit, and you can see that we've got this cluster area here of bids. Bitcoin collapses from that point, yippee-ki-yay. You can simplify your trading only because you understand something about the story of the bids and the asks, because they're only going to buy when price drops. Anyone with the brain the size of a grain of rice that's involved in finance will know that you want to do your very hardest to try and get something on the cheap, okay? Because you buy a value, well, you believe you buy high and sell it higher, or you buy low and you sell high, but people buy high and think they can sell it again higher because it's going to continue higher. Not necessarily the case. The way you validate an area of interest is if it does come back down to it and moves away from that point, because historically there appears to be value being exchanged in this area. People are of the belief that Bitcoin is cheap at this point. And if they're picking up, if there are enough participants inside of this area over here, the logic would suggest that it's going to bounce, and then we would have caught ourselves enough bidders to then shift out. But do you see how the narrative can change in an instance? A second ago, we were anticipating that if Bitcoin's going to hold this point or break down, it's going to come all the way back down again and break this area to completely wipe the ranges, okay? But right now, in this point in time, the bids have come in again, okay? So that could then lead offers to come into play. If we start seeing the offers, which is this red thing here, remember, those of you who are trading Exo charts will understand that. Hold on a second, Tino. What have you done here? I've switched it. So where the sells are, we understand it to be bids being filled because you can't sell if no one buys. I don't want to know what retail traders are doing. I want to know what the smart players are doing. No interest in retail. I know what retail traders are doing right now. All I got to do is just do this. That's what retail traders are doing, okay? So if I know what they're doing, I really need to be paying attention to what the bigger players are doing. And I can identify that through the utility of understanding their relationship of the bids and the asks. I've got a big concentration of bids here. That means people are happy that Bitcoin's going down. That means I'm probably going to see Bitcoin go down a bit more because there is a concentration of bids in this area after a significant move up, okay? Because then I look across and I think to myself, hold on, Why are the bids not coming in inside of this zone, but they are coming in here? Is that to hold support? Is it going to change? I'm having to react to this information continuously. So then I say I'll give it a little bit more freedom. I'm not seeing the offers. Look, there's not really that many offers coming into play yet. So I then say, okay, my conviction is maybe Bitcoin might not continue higher from this point. I might run a short from this area, okay? It's the thought process, okay? Who's this? Frankie. Frankie has stepped up into the live, ladies and gentlemen. Go show some love to Frankie Candles, man. Go and subscribe to that guy, all right? He brings flavor. I bring the fire, but he brings the flame. He brings the yoga flame. No, I'm joking. He's volcanic. Frankie has got lots of energy, ladies and gentlemen. Go and check out Frankie Candles, man. Mad love for that, my bro. Mad love to that. Okay, here we go. We got some offers. The offers have just been triggered. Okay, so these guys who have just run longs right here are now selling. Okay, and we'll understand if that's the case if Bitcoin drops from this point. Okay, it's point to point. That's how you've got to trade it. But this is a very fast moving chart. Okay, we go to Bitcoin's price and it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. All right, but this is how you understand the ebb and flow of really what's being engineered behind a bigger move, okay? The frequency of how often they're bidding, how often are they selling. They're pushing price up, but then pulling it back down again. You've got to establish that. If you establish that behavior, then you're going to be building more confidence in your ability to run a short or run a long at specific points in the chart, okay? I hope that makes sense, ladies and gentlemen. All right, then. With that being said, let's just quickly go over to price, just for a look at that for a second. Okay, so Bitcoin is coming up towards a range weekly high. It looks like they want a gun for that liquidity up there. Okay, we want to see them try and take this. If this acts as a wall, because I'm not seeing any bids right now, that's a problem. I'm not seeing the bids coming in. No bids just yet. No bids. This is very, very interesting. Thank you so much for that, bro. Okay, then. Byte. What is byte? What? B-Y? What is it? B-Y-T-E. I can't tell you anything about that, my friend. Very illiquid. Very choppy. I think if that's the one you're talking about, my bro, okay? I couldn't tell you anything about that. Okay, then. So, going to the 5-minute chart. Quite choppy. Here we go. We've got the Brinks. The Brinks is forming right now. Vectors are not closing at the highest point. Stopping volume candles. Stopping volume. Okay, so the guys who were asking questions about stopping volume candles, look. You see how you're getting a collection of them? Yeah, stopping volume candle 1, stopping volume candle 2, stopping volume candle 3. Go to the 1-minute time frame. Probably see a few more. Where we at? Here we go. So stopping volume candle 1 up there, stopping volume candle 2, 3 at the top side over there. 4, 5, 6. So we've got 6 stopping volume candles. Big candle movement right there, but no follow through. That's a problem for me. Needs to really sweep the Brinks box to say, yeah, okay, that's a valid candle. Needs to sweep that. Go into the 1 hour again. Okay. So we're making a high, but coming back down. Again, it's just not nice. There's no follow through. So take that into consideration, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, then. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? Again, if you are new to the channel, press 1. Okay. And if you haven't done so already, the hybrid system is free of charge. You can get it on the Traders Reality website or search for it through TradingView, okay? And just go and take this course, man. Please, just go and take this course. It's free. Take this free course. Don't even think about these ones before you take this one, okay? Take this one, it's free, because then if you take the scalping course and the ExoCharts course, you will understand what it means when I'm making certain references, okay? But take this free course. There's all sorts of stuff on it, on the vectors, the psychological levels. Here's a PDF with it as well, and it breaks it all down. I mentioned stopping volume candles. It's right there, okay? It breaks it all down and where to expect them as well, okay? Cool. Now, what we got? Ones. Welcome to the madness, ladies and gentlemen. Likes target should be 1,477. Can we get the likes to 1,400? Actually, can we get the likes to 1,868, ladies and gentlemen? Let's do it. Bitcoin's price, minus the 5, okay? 1,869. Let's try and do it. If we can get the likes to that amount, I'll start looking into a little bit of Forex. Where we at? Euro. Nice little sweep up there. Remember, guys, what we said about Euro, vectors, this area here. Remember, dollar dominance is high. Bitcoin hasn't factored that in. Just remember, we were at the same point last week when dollar dominance was high and so was Bitcoin. What happened? Shoe bag to the downside. Oil traders, you guys, you're sitting nicely with your oil projection. That's working out nicely for everyone. Happy days. S&P. Oh, they swiped up. They came down. They brought it back down again. Horrible range for the S&P and the NASDAQ. Despicable, but I'd expect them to fully recover the vector candles right there. And NASDAQ, where you at? Come on, NASDAQ, do your flavor. Ugh. Anyways, that's another story. Gold. We know what we're doing with gold. Okay, so Bitcoin is currently stalling out right there. Questions? Any questions? Questions. Can you look at Raya and Mara? Okay, then. Well, actually, let's just do that for a second. Let's just consider where we are with the ETF and have a look at Raya and Mara. So the ETF right now, the ETF has gapped up, okay? And again, the more gaps we have, these are price points they are going to come back into, and this is a significant gap. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to recover that bad boy. We fully recovered our gaps, and I said every single one of them will get recovered. That's not clout. That's getting you to understand the concept of gaps, and we're about to fully take this area here. This is exactly what Ethereum ETF had done, okay? Load it up, shift it out until the next peak, okay? What the next peak would be, in my opinion, will be 35. That's what I think the next peak's going to be. We're going to see a bit of a retrace closing off some of these gaps because this looks like an exhaustion gap. It looks absolutely huge, but I'm expecting it to recover at some point, which is where Bitcoin could retrace, take some profits, costs you nothing, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for your time. I'm going to end the live right now, but if you are new, make sure you like and subscribe and tune into tonight because we will be going live again, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard, 10 p.m. UK time. It's been a pleasure speaking to you all today, guys. Mad love and respect. Take some money off the table, all right? Happy Valentine's Day. Ladies, I ain't saying nothing else.